Hello, this is Shaun Insane in the Game, and welcome to Fallout 4 Pilgrim Survival Horror Prologue. I wanted to keep this video separate from the main series, and so decided not to call it Part 1. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's start over. There's something I wanted to say. To begin with, thanks to all the modders who have put all their own time and hard work into making all these mods, so that people like me can play games the way I want and make this series. I will mention all the main mods I'm using in this series in this video, but I have used hundreds of mods, so throughout the series I'll make sure to mention them all at least once in one video, and link that mod page in the description so you can all check it out if you wanted. Also, the footage in this video is still my mod test footage and was never meant to be part of the series or actually be seen at all, but I wanted to give you all a sneak peek. There are some problems with some of the graphics, like fire for example, but I have since sorted all of this out. Okay, let's start. First off, I need to mention the mod and load order guide I used. It is a brilliant Fallout 4 mod list and load order guide by, and I'm about to murder the name, BiRaitBec. I know, I've murdered it. This for me is the bible of Fallout 4 modded games, and I try and base all of my playthroughs through this mod list. The author of this great guide has done all the hard work so people like me, and you, don't have to. He has tested the extensive mod list and it all works very close to vanilla FPS, or in some case actually improving on the vanilla performance. I use his list and guide and then just add my mods that I want to suit the theme that I'm trying to accomplish. I'm using many textures, but all are included in the mod guide I was talking about. Most of the textures used in the guide are repackaged into the Bethesda's BA2 files so the game runs even better. And I found that all the textures in this guide were more than enough to make a big difference in how the game looks and feels, so didn't feel the need to add any more. Okay, it's time to start talking about the environment. And I wanted to start this part off with the mod that really started this whole survival horror vibe for me, and it's Pilgrim Dread in the Commonwealth. It is a weather and sound mod, but also an ENB. My opinion is that for any survival horror playthrough of Fallout 4, or just a horror playthrough, this is a must. It just makes Fallout look like a classic horror film, the washed out colours, with the letterbox point of view, that I have slightly reduced here, just enough so the top of the visible screen acts as part of the compass. It all adds a slightly claustrophobic horror feel, exactly what I wanted. The Pilgrim mod authors recommend using Commonwealth conifers, and for this footage I was using them, but since redoing the list, several times because of bugs, of my own doing, I decided that they probably don't add quite as much as I want, and they do have such a huge graphical draw, so I may or may not be using them. I still want to test that out. I am using True Grass as it is recommended, and it is absolutely brilliant. I have toned it down so it's not quite as heavy as it is when you first download the mod. Also for the environment, you can see that I've included radiant clouds and fogs with the Pilgrim patch with this footage. I'm still 50-50 on whether I'm actually going to include that in the series. It is a bit of a draw on the graphics, and though it does add the feeling I'm looking for, it can be a bit graphically challenging at times. I was planning on a backpack mod, and was trying out modern firearms at the time, and so was quite happy to actually use the backpacks in their game, but then after a while I realised that these were probably a little bit OP. And I also decided that I possibly was not going to be running modern firearms. It's still a bit buggy in its current state, though they are releasing an update soon which might get rid of all the bugs. I have been using modern firearms a lot for about the last 3 or 4 playthroughs, so I felt this time, no, I want to try something different. So as I didn't have their backpacks, I went to Backpacks of the Commonwealth. I liked it, but then having backpacks in this survival horror game does sort of limit the survivability and the feel of not being able to carry everything that I want, so in the end I decided to scrap every backpack mod. I will also be using D.E.C.A.Y, Terrifyer and zombie walkers to really make the ghouls, now called zombies, even more terrifying. These raiders were once men, but now they're zombie corpses. I just had to shoot them in the head to keep them down. I did not have the mod set up quite right in my first test run. I had it so that there was a 30% chance that 2 zombies would replace rad roaches in the game. Forgetting, of course, that there was a chance of meeting zombies at the start of the game in Vault 111, and I did not have a very good chance at a headshot with just a baton. I did think for a while if I would just give it a go and leave the mod as it is, but as you can get infected using this mod, I did not think it was a good way to start a survival horror game as you start the game instantly infected. So I decided I would start again and opened the mod configuration menu in game and edited to tone down the mod. please make sure that replace already dead is off. If left on, it will break certain missions in the game where you need to find an item on a dead body, and the zombie dead body has gotten up and wandered to the other side of the map. So I just turned the setting from 30% to 0, at least for now, but I might change that once out of Vault 111. But if I do, I will make sure I mention it. But as you can see, you can tailor this great mod however you want to suit your game. Also in this footage, I'm using Wasteland codecs. For now, I turned off the autoplay just so it doesn't play all the time and interrupt my talking. I may or may not be using that for the main game. There's pros and cons for that. I did want to try out some companion mods, so I tried Vault Buddy. As it seemed creepy and so different from all the others out there, and I thought it would fit my game. But playing about with it for a while, I decided it was not quite what I wanted.
Hello, friend.
I mean, that is just creepy. So I went to try a more well-known companion mod.
Hey, how's it going?
So I decided to try out Heather Caston. Considered by many as the best companion mod out there, the voice acting is great and the script is good, and I even felt her story and look might suit my horror playthrough. But at the moment, I'm a little bit undecided about having a companion. I think the game would gain something more by being on my own, maybe a more claustrophobic feel to the game, and Wasteland Codex is a bit more like a companion mod, and, like I said, may or may not be using that.
But when all you do is bust your ass on the road, you never see it.
Nights need to be really scary. Luckily, Pilgrim is naturally dark at night, which is exactly what I wanted. But also gave me the option of adding an old favourite in the Pip-Boy Flashlight. Just to make the game experience even better, I set the light to just 50% strength with shadows on. I mean, is the light even on? Oh, okay, it's on. I hope this all adds up to a scary nighttime experience where you actually have to question if going out at night is really worth it. But to be honest, it's not going to be any less scary during the daytime. I have been trying out lots of weapon mods, like I said. I did go for modern firearms to begin with, and I do love this mod, and it is such a massive mod for the author to keep on top of, but at times it's still a little buggy. For me, just playing on my own, I have no problems with the odd bug, and the little bit of clipping and the animations not being quite right. But I did not want anything to take the viewer of my videos out of the experience. Like I said, they're going to be releasing a big update soon, and hopefully it will improve this mod tenfold. I'm using all the weapon mods that are in the mod guide that I mentioned earlier. That list does keep changing every now and then, but there are some decent weapons in there. As included in the mod guide, I'm also using better locational damage and enhanced blood textures just to make the combat a little bit more interesting. As you can see, I was playing around with the zombie walker's speed, but I will turn that back down for the playthrough. This is just scarily too fast. And just a few more mods I wanted to mention. I wanted to use Wasteland Codex, because there'll be large parts of this playthrough with no character chatter. This mod adds a little bit of a feel of having a companion with you at times, without the extra baggage that goes along with it. It does feel like having a companion, but I'm still undecided. Also, because it's in the great mod list that I mentioned earlier, I am going to be using Immersive Fallout. I have used this mod before, and I think it just adds a little bit more to the Fallout experience, makes it a little bit more realistic. I think it affects a little bit of everything in the background of the game, and it's definitely one to check out. I've also included what most people would call all the core mods, so just because I haven't mentioned them in this video does not mean I'm not using them. If they're on the mod guide list, I have used them, and also I'll be mentioning some at various points, but anything that you would call a core mod, I've been using it. I would love to use some assembly required. I'm still debating whether or not to use that. This game is going to be hard enough as it is, and some assembly required reduces almost completely to none the amount of power armor you find in the game. And wherever you would normally find a full set or even half a set of power armor, you would only actually now ever find one piece. When you are in power armor, it is a hell of a lot stronger and you feel more tankish wearing it. I would love to run this mod, still not decided. And now I've set the tone and theme of what I'm hoping to achieve in this playthrough, I wanted to go through some of the rules I'm setting myself, not just to make the game more challenging, but also to add an element of realism and roleplay to the series. Base building will not be included in this game. This means I will not build houses or attract settlers to the settlement, apart from if it is needed in the main quest. Also, this means I will not be able to build workstations or special items like water pumps and like that. I will only be able to use what I find in the Wasteland and in and around settlements. Because my character should not be great at everything like building pumps, generators, armor benches. This will also help with the survival horror aspect and make those items feel special and valuable whenever I do find them out in the Commonwealth. There will be just one exception to this rule, and there is a very good reason why I'm using this. Beds. They are both needed to save, but also needed to get a good night's sleep. The Commonwealth has many beds about to drop a save and get a couple of hours rest. But there are not too many good beds that you can own that will allow you to get a good long sleep, I believe over 5 hours. And to survive without getting exhausted to the point of losing health, I will need to get a good night's sleep from time to time. So I've conceded the fact that beds at certain places will need to be built just to survive. But that's not a problem, because it's time to reveal that my character was a bed maker in his past life. I've decided in the end that I will not be using any backpacks mod whatsoever. It's a little bit unrealistic to assume that I'm able to fill a backpack full of different pieces of armor and carrying them around the Wasteland. So I will use settlements I find to store certain items I cannot carry. I'll be playing a very low charisma character, and so will not ever get to the point of being able to use supply chains, but I would not anyway, and I will not use a mod that changes that. If I had an item and later decided I need that item for a mod, the only way to retrieve that item is to go all the way back and get it, and this brings me to my next point. This is survival mode, and Bethesda intended survival to not include fast travel. And I believe not being able to fast travel really adds to the game and the survival aspect, and also increases the importance of planning and decision making. When it comes to where I should go next, and what if I need to leave a heavy but very powerful sniper rifle, will I be able to come back to get it? So no mods that adds fast travel or adds vehicles to survival, even though there's some really good vehicle mods out there now. Also, no base or housing mods, they might also add an unfair advantage. This almost goes without saying, but I want this playthrough to have a real sense of horror and surviving with the skin of my teeth, so I will not be using any what people would call cheat mods or mods that make the game a little too easy. I mean mods like easy lockpicking, which is great mod, but makes lockpicking a non-event in the game. Also the same way as easy hacking, great for those who don't like the hacking and lockpicking minigames, and also it adds something when you have to decide if picking that lock is worth the risk of losing your last lockpick. Anything that you would say is adding a god item or increasing your skill stat will not be included. Not to say I haven't ever used them, but not in this playthrough. And now for Zombie Walkers mod. If I do get infected, and I bet at some point I do, then I will not go into the mod configuration menu and uninfect myself. I'll have to learn at some point how to create the vaccine, and if I don't learn how to create the vaccine, I will have to live with the consequences for the rest of my very short life. In fact, I will not use the mod configuration menu once the game starts, apart from if I use Wasteland Codex turning that on, or when I start the game I may go into alter zombie spawns so they spawn instead of insects. This will also make the game a little bit harder because I won't be getting the food off the insects. There is little else for me to say apart from I hope you all stay and watch the rest of my Fallout 4 Pilgrim Survivor horror playthrough. What a mouthful. I do love Fallout, and I hope my enthusiasm comes across in the videos. Next week is part 1. Please all tune in, but until then, please like this video if you did. Please subscribe if you want to watch the rest of this series. Comment below or on Facebook or Twitter with all the links in the description. And I'll see you next time in the Commonwealth. I'm Shaun Insane in the Game. See you all in the safe zone.